Let's imagine Sarah. She's not just a mom. She's super mom. Juggling a full-time job as a data analyst and raising her son, Alex, on her own is a daily tightrope walk. Sarah's days start before sunrise, packing lunches, getting Alex ready for school, and rushing to catch the bus. Her job at Innovate Solutions isn't easy, either. Deadlines loom and the pressure to perform is constant. But Sarah is a whiz with numbers, always finding solutions where others see problems. She's respected by her colleagues, even if they don't fully understand the challenges she faces outside of work. Evenings are a blur of homework, dinner prep, and bedtime stories. There's little time for herself, but Sarah finds joy in Alex's laughter and the small moments they share. She often feels like she's barely keeping her head above water, living paycheck to paycheck. The constant worry about making ends meet weighs heavily on her shoulders. Finding reliable and affordable childcare has always been a huge struggle. Every canceled babysitter or unexpected expense throws her already precarious budget into chaos. This particular morning felt like the start of just another one of those days. Little did she know how drastically her life was about to change. That morning began like any other hectic weekday, but with a cruel twist. Just as Sarah was about to leave for work, her phone rang. It was Mrs. Davison, Alex's babysitter. Her voice was laced with apology. She'd woken up with a terrible flu and couldn't possibly watch Alex. Panic flared in Sarah's chest. She frantically called other sitters, friends, even neighbors. Everyone was unavailable. Her heart pounded in her ears as she imagined the repercussions of calling in sick. Another missed deadline, another black mark on her record, could mean losing her job, and that was simply not an option. After pacing for several minutes, chewing her lip raw, Sarah arrived at a desperate decision. She would have to bring Alex to work. It was risky, unbelievably risky, but she saw no other way. She quickly explained the situation to Alex, emphasizing the importance of being quiet and well-behaved. He was a bright and understanding child, assuring her he would be as good as gold. Clutching Alex's hand, Sarah walked into the Innovate Solutions building, her anxiety level skyrocketing with each step. She prayed she could get through the day without anyone noticing. She knew the company had strict policies about children in the workplace. But what choice did she have? Once inside, Sarah ushered Alex to her cubicle, a small, fabric-walled space that felt even smaller with the addition of a 7-year-old. She quickly set him up with his backpack, pulling out a coloring book, crayons, and a stack of his favorite picture books. "Remember, sweetie, inside voices only," she whispered, her eyes darting around nervously. "And please stay right here. Mommy needs to work." Alex, ever the dutiful child, nodded solemnly. He understood the gravity of the situation. He promised to be quiet as a mouse and only bother her if it was an emergency. Sarah felt a pang of guilt. This wasn't fair to him. He should be at school, learning and playing with his friends, not cooped up in a drab office cubicle. Throughout the morning, Sarah checked on Alex constantly, her anxiety simmering just below the surface. She snuck him snacks during her brief coffee breaks and made sure he had everything he needed. She tried to focus on her work, but her mind kept drifting back to him, picturing all the things that could go wrong. Would he get bored? Would he wander off? Would someone complain? The what-ifs swirled in her head like a storm cloud. She felt like she was walking on eggshells, one wrong move away from disaster. Around mid-morning, Sarah thought they might actually pull it off. Alex had been remarkably well-behaved, quietly coloring and reading. She even managed to complete a crucial report, feeling a sliver of accomplishment amidst her anxiety. That's when Mr. Thompson appeared. He was the office manager, a tall, imposing man with a permanent frown etched on his face. He was known for his strict adherence to company policy and his lack of patience for anything he considered unprofessional. Sarah's heart leaped into her throat as she saw him stop at her cubicle. His eyes narrowed. He hadn't said a word, but his expression spoke volumes. He surveyed the scene: Sarah, her computer, and then Alex, sitting cross-legged on the floor, coloring a picture of a superhero. Mr. Thompson's face darkened. He cleared his throat loudly, a sound that seemed to echo through the otherwise quiet office. All the accomplishments Sarah had felt moments before vanished. The disaster she'd been dreading had finally arrived. She braced herself, knowing what was coming next. Her carefully constructed house of cards was about to collapse. She could only hope the pieces wouldn't shatter beyond repair. "Sarah?" Mr. Thompson said, his voice cold and devoid of any warmth. "Is that a child?" Sarah swallowed hard, her mouth suddenly dry. "Yes, Mr. Thompson. This is my son, Alex." "I see," he replied, his gaze sweeping over Alex with thinly veiled disapproval. "You know the company policy regarding children in the workplace, I presume?" Sarah's voice trembled. "Yes, sir, I do. But my babysitter canceled at the last minute, and I had no other options. I tried everything." "That is not my concern," Mr. Thompson stated flatly. "Company policy is clear. No children are allowed on company premises. It's a distraction to other employees, a safety hazard, and frankly, unprofessional." Sarah's eyes pleaded with him. "He's been very quiet and well-behaved, sir. He hasn't bothered anyone. I promise it won't happen again." Mr. Thompson remained unmoved. "I'm afraid I have no choice, Sarah. I must enforce company policy." He paused, his expression hardening. "I'm going to have to ask you to leave. Immediately." Sarah's world tilted. "Leave? But my job." "Consider this your termination notice," Mr. Thompson said, his voice unwavering. "Please gather your belongings and escort your son off the premises. Security will be notified if you do not comply." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she quickly gathered her belongings, her hands shaking. She tried to maintain composure for Alex's sake, but her voice cracked as she told him, "Come on, sweetie, we have to go." Mr. Thompson stood nearby, watching them with an almost clinical detachment. He offered no assistance, no words of comfort, just a cold, hard stare. He seemed determined to make this as humiliating as possible. As they walked towards the exit, Sarah felt the eyes of her colleagues on them. Some looked away in embarrassment, others offered sympathetic glances. But no one dared to intervene. Outside the building, the weight of her situation crashed down on her. The reality of losing her job, her income, her security, hit her like a physical blow. How would she pay the rent? How would she buy groceries? How would she provide for Alex? She sat on a nearby bench, Alex clinging to her side, and allowed herself to cry. The future stretched before her, bleak and uncertain. All her hard work, all her sacrifices, seemed to have been for nothing. She felt utterly defeated, lost in a sea of despair. It was hard to imagine how things could possibly get better. The next few days were a blur of frantic job applications and mounting anxiety. Each rejection email felt like another nail in the coffin of her hopes. The meager savings she had were dwindling fast, barely enough to cover rent and utilities. She started skipping meals to make sure Alex had enough to eat. Sleep became a luxury she could no longer afford. She spent sleepless nights poring over job boards, her mind racing with worry. She felt like she was failing Alex, unable to provide him with the stability and security he deserved. She considered asking her parents for help, but they were already struggling to make ends meet. She didn't want to burden them with her problems. She felt utterly alone, trapped in a desperate situation with no way out. Meanwhile, back at Innovate Solutions, whispers of the incident spread through the office. Some employees expressed sympathy for Sarah, while others sided with Mr. Thompson, citing the importance of following company policy. The atmosphere was tense, and a sense of unease hung in the air. Little did they know, a change was coming that would shake things up considerably. A change that would offer Sarah a glimmer of hope in her darkest hour. A week after Sarah's dismissal, Innovate Solutions buzzed with a different kind of energy. The old CEO had stepped down, and a new leader, Mr. Harrison, was taking the helm. Unlike his predecessor, Mr. Harrison was known for his progressive views and empathetic leadership style. He believed in fostering a supportive and inclusive work environment, where employees felt valued and respected. His arrival was met with a mix of anticipation and trepidation. Some employees hoped he would bring positive changes, while others worried about potential disruptions to the status quo. Mr. Harrison started his tenure by holding town hall meetings, listening to employees' concerns, and outlining his vision for the company's future. He emphasized the importance of teamwork, innovation, and, most importantly, compassion. He wanted to create a workplace where people felt comfortable bringing their whole selves to work, understanding that everyone has lives and challenges outside of the office. He believed that a happy and supported workforce was a productive workforce. This new philosophy was a stark contrast to the rigid and unforgiving atmosphere that had previously prevailed under the old management. It wasn't long before the story of Sarah's firing reached Mr. Harrison's ears. Office gossip, as it often does, carried the tale through the hallways and into his office. At first, it was just snippets of conversation. He overheard hushed voices mentioning a single mother, a strict manager, and a violation of company policy. Intrigued and concerned, Mr. Harrison decided to delve deeper. He discreetly asked a few trusted employees about the incident, piecing together the full story of Sarah's desperate situation and Mr. Thompson's unyielding response. What troubled Mr. Harrison most wasn't the violation of company policy, but the complete lack of compassion and understanding shown towards Sarah. He believed that rules were meant to serve people, not the other way around. He couldn't fathom how someone could be so heartless, especially knowing the struggles many working parents face. The story resonated with him on a personal level, stirring up memories of his own childhood. He knew he had to do something. This was not the kind of company he wanted to lead. Before making any decisions, Mr. Harrison wanted to get a clearer picture of Sarah's performance and work history. He requested her personnel file and spent an evening carefully reviewing it. What he found further solidified his conviction that Sarah's firing was unjust. Her file was filled with glowing performance reviews, praising her analytical skills, her dedication to her work, and her positive attitude. She consistently exceeded expectations and was considered a valuable asset to the company. There were numerous commendations from clients, praising her problem-solving abilities and her commitment to customer satisfaction. Her colleagues described her as a team player, always willing to help others and go the extra mile. The file painted a picture of a hardworking, dedicated, and highly competent employee who had made a single, desperate mistake in a moment of crisis. Mr. Harrison felt a surge of anger at the thought of such a valuable employee being dismissed so carelessly. He knew then that he had to find her and offer her a second chance. He just hoped it wasn't too late. The first step was finding her contact information. The next morning, Mr. Harrison asked his assistant to locate Sarah's contact information. He knew that reaching out to her personally would be more meaningful than having someone else make the call. He hesitated for a moment before dialing her number, unsure of what to say. He wanted to convey his sincerity and his desire to make things right, but he also didn't want to raise her hopes unnecessarily. The phone rang several times before Sarah answered, her voice sounding tired and wary. "Hello?" she said tentatively. "Hello, Sarah. This is Mr. Harrison, the new CEO of Innovate Solutions," he began, trying to sound as friendly and approachable as possible. There was a pause on the other end of the line.
Innovate Solutions?
I don't understand, she stammered. "I'm calling because I've learned about what happened with Mr. Thompson, and I'd like to meet with you to discuss it," Mr. Harrison explained. "Would you be available sometime this week?" Sarah was understandably skeptical. "I don't know, Mr. Harrison. I don't see what there is to discuss. I was fired. Please, just give me a chance to explain," he pleaded. "I think you'll find it's worth your time." After a moment of deliberation, Sarah reluctantly agreed to the meeting. A tiny flicker of hope sparked within her, but she tried to suppress it, fearing further disappointment. She had been so hurt and humiliated by her experience at Innovate Solutions that she was wary of getting her hopes up again. "Okay, Mr. Harrison," she said, her voice still guarded. "I can meet with you. When were you thinking?" They scheduled the meeting for the following day at a coffee shop near Sarah's apartment. She hung up the phone feeling a mix of emotions: curiosity, apprehension, and a sliver of cautious optimism. She spent the rest of the day wondering what Mr. Harrison wanted to discuss. Was he going to apologize? Offer her some kind of compensation? Or was this some kind of cruel joke? She tried to prepare herself for any outcome, but deep down, she couldn't help but hope that maybe, just maybe, things were about to change for the better. She knew she had to go into the meeting with an open mind, even if it was the hardest thing she had done in a long time. She also knew she would need to find a babysitter for Alex. The next day, Sarah arrived at the coffee shop, her heart pounding in her chest. She spotted Mr. Harrison sitting at a table near the window and took a deep breath before approaching him. He stood up as she approached, extending his hand with a warm smile. "Sarah, thank you for coming. Please sit down." As they settled in, Sarah couldn't help but notice Mr. Harrison's genuine and approachable demeanor. He didn't seem like the typical CEO she had imagined. "I wanted to meet with you personally because I wanted you to know how deeply troubled I was to learn about what happened," he began, his voice sincere. "I reviewed your file, and I was incredibly impressed with your work. Losing you was a mistake." Sarah listened intently, trying to decipher his true intentions. Then Mr. Harrison said something that completely surprised her. "You know, Sarah, I grew up in a similar situation. My mom was a single parent, and there were times when she had no choice but to bring me to work with her." Sarah's eyes widened in surprise. "Really?" "Yes," Mr. Harrison replied, a hint of nostalgia in his voice. "I spent many days sitting quietly in the corner of her office, drawing pictures and reading books. I know firsthand how difficult it can be to juggle work and childcare." "There was one time," Mr. Harrison continued, a smile playing on his lips, "when I was about Alex's age. My mom worked as a secretary, and I had to go with her because the daycare was closed. I was supposed to be quiet, but I accidentally spilled a whole glass of juice on her boss's important documents." Sarah chuckled, picturing the scene. "I was terrified," Mr. Harrison admitted. "I thought my mom was going to lose her job, but her boss, Mr. Peterson, he just laughed it off. He helped her clean it up and told her not to worry about it. He even gave me a cookie." Sarah's heart warmed at the story. "My mom always said that Mr. Peterson was a good man," Mr. Harrison said, his voice filled with gratitude. "He understood that sometimes life happens, and that people are more important than rules." He paused, looking directly at Sarah. "I was that kid, Sarah, and I wouldn't be where I am today if people hadn't shown my mom a little understanding." The anecdote created an immediate emotional connection between them. Sarah finally felt like someone truly understood her situation. The wall she had built around herself began to crumble. "Sarah," Mr. Harrison said, his voice now filled with sincerity, "I want to apologize for what happened to you. Mr. Thompson's actions were unacceptable, and they do not reflect the values of this company. I've already taken steps to ensure that something like this never happens again." He paused, taking a deep breath. "I want to offer you your job back, Sarah, and I want to do more than that. I understand the challenges you face as a single mother, and I want to help." Sarah's eyes widened in disbelief. "We're implementing a new child care assistance program for our employees," Mr. Harrison continued. "We'll help you find reliable and affordable childcare, and we'll even subsidize a portion of the cost." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. "This isn't just about giving you a job," Mr. Harrison said, reaching across the table to gently touch her hand. "It's about creating a workplace where you feel supported and valued, where you can thrive both professionally and personally." I don't know what to say," Sarah stammered, her voice choked with emotion. Thank you so much." "Of course I accept, Mr. Harrison," Sarah exclaimed, a genuine smile spreading across her face for the first time in weeks. The relief that washed over her was immense, like a heavy weight being lifted from her shoulders. The worries that had been plaguing her, the rent, the groceries, the future, seemed to melt away. A renewed sense of hope blossomed within her, filling her with energy and optimism. "Thank you for believing in me," she added, her voice filled with gratitude. "I promise I won't let you down." "I know you won't, Sarah," Mr. Harrison replied, his eyes twinkling. "You're a valuable asset to our company, and I'm thrilled to have you back." They spent the next few minutes discussing the details of her return, including the start date and the specifics of the child care assistance program. Sarah left the coffee shop feeling like a new person. The world suddenly seemed brighter, and the future seemed full of possibilities. She couldn't wait to tell Alex the good news. She knew this was the start of a new chapter in their lives, a chapter filled with hope, opportunity, and the promise of a brighter future. As she walked home, she felt like she could finally breathe again. True to his word, Mr. Harrison didn't just reinstate Sarah. He revolutionized the company's culture. He announced a new family-friendly policy that emphasized understanding and support for working parents. He implemented flexible work hours, allowing employees to adjust their schedules to accommodate childcare needs or other family obligations. He created designated quiet rooms where employees could take short breaks or tend to personal matters. The child care assistance program, which he had promised Sarah, became a reality, providing financial support and resources for employees seeking reliable childcare. He also encouraged managers to be more understanding and flexible when employees faced unexpected family emergencies. These changes were met with overwhelming approval from the employees, who felt valued and supported like never before. The atmosphere in the office shifted from one of fear and rigidity to one of collaboration and compassion. Productivity soared as employees felt more motivated and engaged in their work. Mr. Harrison proved that creating a family-friendly workplace was not only the right thing to do but also good for business. He showed them that a happy employee is a productive employee. Sarah returned to work with a renewed sense of purpose. She felt valued and supported, knowing that her employer truly cared about her well-being. She quickly regained her footing and excelled in her role as a data analyst. But she didn't just focus on her own success. She became a vocal advocate for other working parents in the company. She shared her story with others, encouraging them to take advantage of the new family-friendly policies and to speak up about their needs. She joined the company's newly formed Parent Support Group, where she provided guidance and support to other working parents, sharing her experiences and offering practical advice. She also worked with Mr. Harrison to identify areas where the company could further improve its support for families. Sarah became a champion for change, ensuring that all working parents at Innovate Solutions felt empowered and supported. She transformed from a victim of circumstance into a powerful advocate, making a real difference in the lives of her colleagues. She was determined to pay forward the kindness that Mr. Harrison had shown her. As for Mr. Thompson, his rigid and unsympathetic approach was no longer tolerated at Innovate Solutions. His actions were a clear violation of the company's new values, and Mr. Harrison took swift action. Mr. Thompson was quietly demoted from his position as office manager and reassigned to a less visible role within the company. While he wasn't fired outright, his authority was significantly diminished, and he was no longer in a position to make decisions that affected employees' lives. The demotion sent a clear message throughout the company. Empathy and compassion were now valued above all else. Mr. Thompson's fall from grace served as a stark reminder that treating employees with respect and understanding was not just a matter of policy, but a matter of principle. While some felt a sense of satisfaction at Mr. Thompson's downfall, Sarah harbored no ill will towards him. She simply hoped that he would learn from his mistakes and become a more compassionate leader in the future. The incident served as a turning point for Innovate Solutions, marking a shift towards a more humane and supportive workplace. As Sarah settled back into her routine at Innovate Solutions, a heartwarming connection began to blossom between Alex and Mr. Harrison. Mr. Harrison made it a point to greet Alex whenever he visited the office, engaging him in friendly conversations and showing genuine interest in his life. He learned about Alex's love for superheroes, his passion for drawing, and his dreams of becoming an astronaut. He encouraged Alex to pursue his interests and offered him guidance and support. Mr. Harrison became a mentor and a positive role model for Alex, someone he could look up to and admire. He shared stories of his own childhood, inspiring Alex to believe in himself and to never give up on his dreams. Sometimes, Mr. Harrison would even take Alex out for ice cream after work, listening patiently as he shared his thoughts and feelings. He became a trusted friend and confidant, someone Alex could always count on. Their bond was a testament to the power of kindness and the importance of having positive influences in a child's life. Sarah was so grateful that Alex had such a positive role model. Years later, Sarah continued to thrive at Innovate Solutions. She was promoted to a senior data analyst position, leading a team of her own and making significant contributions to the company's success. Her personal life blossomed as well. She found a supportive community of friends and fellow working parents, and she was able to provide Alex with a stable and loving home. Alex, inspired by Mr. Harrison's encouragement, excelled in school and pursued his passion for science. The story of Sarah's firing and subsequent redemption became a legendary tale within Innovate Solutions, a reminder of the importance of compassion and understanding in the workplace. Mr. Harrison's leadership transformed the company into a model of inclusivity and support, attracting and retaining top talent. The story serves as a powerful testament to the ripple effect of kindness and the transformative power of empathy. It demonstrates that by prioritizing people over policies, we can create a more just and compassionate world, one workplace at a time. In the end, it wasn't just about Sarah getting her job back. It was about creating a better future for everyone. Sarah and Alex were both thriving.